Hey there, Mason Middle School. This is Tracy Carson, the Public Information Officer with Mason City Schools, and I'm lucky enough that I get to help tell the district's stories. But one story I'm so excited to read with you is I Am Malala. This is one of my favorite books because I think it's such a powerful reminder of the difference that one person can make, and that you can make that difference no matter your age. Obviously, Malala is incredibly brave, and I try to think I'm probably not as brave as she is, but I'm hoping that I can do some things better and use her example as kind of helps me remember that just one person really can make a difference. So I'll get started on chapter 13, Class Dismissed. Ever since I'd started doing interviews, people in Mangora sometimes caught up to me and told me I had done well. But many of my mother's friends were scandalized that I had shown my face on TV. Some even said that she would go to hell for not raising me better. And although my mother never said anything to me, I knew she'd probably have preferred that I had worn a veil. But even if my mother disagreed with my choice, and even if her friends criticized her, she stood behind me. Meanwhile, even some of my friends asked why I let the world see my face. Fazlullah's men wear masks, I said, because they are criminals, but I have nothing to hide, and I have done nothing wrong. I'm proud to be a voice speaking out for girls' education, and proud to show my identity. A madman was about to kick more than 50,000 girls out of a school in a matter of days, and all people seemed to want to talk about was whether I should have worn a veil. Meanwhile, my brother Kashul was saying that for once, he wished he were a girl so he didn't have to go to school. I wondered sometimes if the world had turned upside down. My mother and father liked to watch my interviews, but I usually ran out of the room when they came on TV. I always liked to give interviews because I knew how important it was to speak for girls' rights, but I never liked to watch them. I don't know why. It was fine for the whole world to see me. I just didn't want to see myself. And I suppose I have to admit that I'm a lot like all those people who were so preoccupied with my appearance. I suddenly noticed all kinds of things about my looks, things that had never bothered me before. My skin was too dark. My eyebrows were too thick. One of my eyes was smaller than the other, and I hated the little moles that dotted my cheek. A couple of days before the official school closing, my father was going to Peshawar to meet two video journalists from the New York Times, and I went with him. They had invited my father to ask if they could follow him on the last day of school. But at the end of the meeting, one of them turned to me and asked, "What would you do if there comes a day when you can't go back to your valley in school?" Because I was both stubborn and full of hope, I replied, "That will not happen." He insisted it might, and I started to weep. I think it was then that they decided to focus their documentary on me as well. The morning of our last day at school, a two-man camera crew appeared at our house. I was still sleeping when they arrived. They told my father they were there to document my day, from start to finish. He was surprised. He had agreed to cameras in his school, not his home. I heard him try to talk the reporter out of the idea. Eventually, he gave in and the filming began. "They cannot stop me. I will get my education," I told the cameraman. "If it is in home, school, or any place. This is our request to the world. Save our schools. Save our Pakistan. Save our Swat." I sounded hopeful, but in my heart I was worried. As my father looked at me, smiling uncomfortably with a mixture of pride and sadness for his daughter, I pictured myself stuck at home, reading whatever books I could find until I ran out of books. I was 11 years old. Was my schooling really going to end now? Was I going to end up like girls who quit school to cook and clean? What I didn't know was that my words would reach many ears. What I didn't know was that some in distant parts of the world, some right in Swat, in Taliban strongholds. Later, as my friends and I passed through the school gate and the video camera recorded our every move, it felt as if we were going to a funeral. Our dreams were dying. 2/3 of the students stayed home that day, even though we'd all vowed to be there for the last day. Then one of the girls burst through the door. Her father and brothers had forbidden her from going to school, but as soon as they left for the day, she snuck out. What a strange world it was, when a girl who wanted to go to school had to defy militants with machine guns, as well as their own family.